Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I have something to share with you today. It's been a while since I posted a video because really there hasn't been much going on in the orchard. It's just been mostly maintenance and keeping things alive and basically just, doing odd jobs here and there, nothing really interesting. But today, as I was pruning a broken branch from this tree right here that you see in the foreground, this big one right next to the ladder. This is a guanabana tree. In Cuba, what we call guanabana, the rest of the world calls it soursop. This is a beautiful piece of fruit. Honestly, I love soursop. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it's like a custard type fruit, and it has an intensely pineapple-y flavor. So if you like pineapples, this is a fruit for you. The only drawback is that this tree is very, very tropical. This tree I purchased a few years ago from a nursery here in East Central Florida called Rockledge Gardens. It is Annona muricata. That's the Latin name for it. Supposedly it's like the mountain soursop. It's supposed to be a little bit more cold tolerant than other varieties of soursop. Even so, we get very mild winters here, and even though this is supposedly a more cold tolerant, these winters will really shock this tree here. So I had it in a couple places in the yard, and I had to move it over here to the south facing wall of the house, where hopefully my plan is in the winter, let me just dismount this camera so you can see. In the winter, the skyline over here, that is the southwest part of the sky. So the sun, when it's in middle of summer, the sun goes really vertical, completely vertical over my property. And as winter comes in, as the year progresses and it starts to approach winter and fall, the sun tends to get lower in the sky, so it'll start cruising around this direction here. And so right now I have all these darn pine trees in the way. It's a lot next to my house that supposedly, I think the plan is that they're going to clean this lot. I think the city is forcing the owners to remove all the vegetation, clean the lot, and basically probably will sell it eventually and build a house here. But the point being that once these pine trees go down, then there's going to be a lot of sun coming into this section of my yard, and all these trees are going to benefit from that sun, and especially this wall here. This wall will act like a sponge, a heat capacitor during the day, and it will absorb all the heat, all the radiant heat from the sun, and then radiate that back out at night as infrared, or the radiant energy, because it's not radiant heat. Heat implies a particular wavelength of the electromagnetic spectrum, very narrow wavelength, and this mostly the infrared. This wall will convert UV, visible, and other forms of electromagnetic radiation, radiated by the sun into heat. It'll absorb it, and then at night it'll radiate it back out. So the plan is that the heat being radiated out by this wall will hopefully keep the air temperature around these trees a little bit higher than the surrounding yard, and hopefully prevent or minimize, I can't prevent it, but minimize thermal shock. But anyway, why did I've already mentioned that before in another video, but what was my primary purpose for making this video? Well, I was pruning this tree, and there were some broken branches, and I saw something that I had not seen before, and I'm going to get up on this ladder here and show you. See it right there? That, my friends, is the flower for the soursop. That is the first flower I have ever seen on this tree. And I was having my doubts, to be honest with you, because this tree is really, really subtropical. Really is tropical. A tropical plant. It's not really well suited to the subtropics even. And certainly East Central Florida. You can get this to grow in South Florida, but every now and again when you get a freeze down there or a cold spell, the tree will go into shock. So you could easily lose it. So the fact that I actually made it so that this thing can survive here in East Central Florida, where we regularly see temperatures in the 20s and 30s in the winter, that's pretty significant, I think. But anyway, there you can see it right there. Let me go ahead and That is the flower of the soursop tree. And you notice that it's not like other trees, other fruit trees, where it grows from like the initial stems. This thing actually grows from the trunk. See how it's actually bonded or coming out of hardwood already? That's how all these trees are. Their fruits or their flowers actually grow straight from the stems, from the trunk of the tree. They do not grow from the first year wood or anything like that. So I guess it's kind of strange in that regard. It's very similar to mamey sapote, which does that too. But there you go. My first flower from the soursop. I don't know if it's gonna actually cling on. Most likely it won't, because we're in the fall, late fall now, early fall. As the temperatures start to drop, this fruit will probably fall to the ground and it won't germinate, it won't do anything. This flower will fall and it won't actually turn into a fruit. But I have hopes now that I've seen it do it once that it'll do it again in the future, probably in the spring, and I should get some fruits eventually in the next year or so. And when I do, I will actually harvest one of them. I'll show it to you. I'll show you what they look like in the development stages. I'll show you how they grow, and then when we harvest it, I'll crack it open and show you what the interior looks like. I think you'll be interested in looking at that. It's definitely not like any other fruit tree you're familiar with, probably. It's certainly very different from an apple or pear, and very different from a mango even. It's similar to a nona squamosa, a sugar apple. Although I don't know why they call it sugar apple, because it's not related to the apple at all, I don't think. But in any event, there you have it. My first flower from my soursop tree. And this has been a labor of love, because this tree has taken me a long time to get to this stage. It's very high maintenance because of the cold problems around here, and she initially wasn't doing too well in the soil, because right where she's planted, it's alkaline, or I shouldn't say alkaline, it's slightly alkaline. It's 7.6 pH, which is just above neutral. Oh darn squirrel, holy crap, I wish you could have seen that. The squirrel right on the fence, and it jumped like 5 or 6 feet into those bushes and started running off. Man, I swear to God, I'm gonna have to do something about these squirrels. I think I'm gonna have to bring out my air rifle and take care of them, because they're already starting to annoy me. Anyway, there you have it. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.